So,
Hello, everyone. This is episode 4 of the Marketing Shtick. This is your host, Bishara, and today we have Joe and Trisha on the line, and we have a pretty interesting agenda for you today. How you guys doing?
great.
Good.
How are you?
Good, good.
Glad
And
to be here.
yeah, thank you, Trisha. Are we starting to pay you for these appearances or not yet?
Oh my. No, we're good. We're good.
So something funny happened this weekend. I wore a flannel shirt for the first time, and it does something for you. You feel manlier. I'm serious. We were visiting friends, and it got really cold, and they offered me a flannel shirt to wear on top of my short sleeves, and I put it on. I'm like, I think my beard grew up a little bit.
Flannel's the best.
Flannel
love
is
it.
the best.
In the Pacific Northwest, there's so much flannel, and the funny thing is, I never leave the house because I just am on the computer all day. But I can still wear my flannel and feel like a lumberjack.
Yeah.
Feel like I'm out in the woods chopping down trees.
It's socially acceptable too. It's not always like you're a lumberjack anymore. It's like it's got this hipster lumber sexual thing going on.
Kind of trendy, yeah.
Yeah, trendy, right? So I'm totally thinking. I actually asked Laura on our team today because her boyfriend wears a lot of flannel. I'm like, where does he buy his stuff? Can you ask him?
Oh my goodness.
Which is like the
Costco.
opposite, right? Like, so yeah, I may pick up some flannel. So maybe our next episode we'll do like a flannel theme one.
Oh, I love it.
That's
I
cool.
love it.
Yeah. So anyway, so a lot of things have happened since we last spoke. So we had our summit, our company summit. We all went out to Las Vegas for that. That was awesome times. I don't think we're allowed to
Las
show any of the pictures we
Vegas.
took.
My first time in Las Vegas. So
Was it?
it was a blast. I really liked it. Kind of crazy out there a little bit,
Party central.
It really is.
Cool.
I think I enjoyed Old Vegas the best.
Nice. And I came back to find out my wife is pregnant, and we're getting all busy with that.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
What?
She doesn't want to know the gender yet, so we're still
Do
waiting.
we all
on
call
that.
you Dad now? And
We'll see. I'm
right.
still coming to terms with what's going on. But my photographer friend sent me. He's a wedding photographer, and he sent me a link, and he says, "I really regret not doing this with my child when they were first born. You totally need to do that." And it's this photographer that specializes in newborn photography. And I always thought of photographers; they all do the exact same thing. If you're a photographer, you can photograph anything, but there's obviously niche photography and people who specialize with their studio, their props, lighting, everything. And I went on that lady's website to check her out, and she has stunning photography. It's really amazing stuff. But the one thing that caught me off guard is I'm reading her top nav, and it says, newborn photography, pregnancy photography, whatever. And then there's a prompt that says investments. I'm like, oh, is she taking investments? Like, what is this? And
She's doing a capital round.
yeah, I'm like, is she raising funds? I'm like, oh, she has nice photography. Maybe I'll invest in her. So I click on that, and it's her packages, like a 3-hour newborn in the hospital, $300 at your home in my studio. So she's thinking about investments as a substitute for cost or prices.
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking at some of her competition, and I noticed she's not the only one. So at first I was like, okay, she came up with this. Maybe she's trying to add value or create value. And then I saw other photographers doing the same thing. I have not seen this in any other industry. So if you're listening to this podcast and you have seen this, please comment, because it's really interesting trend if it is. But I started thinking, like, is this the correct call to action? Is this going to confuse people? And there were many questions. So I'm curious how you guys feel about this.
I believe people out there are doing that. That doesn't resonate with me, because when I think of investments, I think of things that are going to make you money. And even though you might be making an investment and that you're spending money, you're making a cash outlay. This is an item that's going to lose value over time. I mean, it's valuable to you, very valuable, maybe priceless to you, but you can't sell it to anyone else. You're not going to get dividends from it. So I'm not sure if it's actually an investment per se. I get what they're doing, but I don't like it.
All right. What about you, Trisha? Come on, you're the mommy here.
I don't know. I mean, I always say that it takes money to make money. I don't know.
But you're not making money off your children's pictures.
No, you're not. So I don't know I think they're just being quirky. I don't necessarily, I'm on the fence about it. I don't think it's necessarily the best way to position yourself.
I'm surprised you're saying this. I totally thought, Trisha, you'd take the angle of, my kids' pictures when they look at them in 21 years or in 18 years, the feeling that you're going to get is going to be the payoff of that investment.
No, yesterday was picture day for my daughter and I didn't even know it. And I sent her. I don't know. I normally have like a pretty good calendar. I sent her to school in something I totally wouldn't have normally put her in to like get a picture. She has this huge red bow on and like a red dress, and it's going to be some kind of tacky background. It's going to be very memorable. That will be my investment.
Well, that's an investment.
So they don't ask you what you want anymore. They take the picture and they send it home. They're like, do you like this? And then you make your investment. You
have to pay the school for picture day nowadays?
You buy the pictures.
You do?
Yeah.
So it's not like one day a year, the whole class takes pictures and everybody gets a copy. It's not like that.
They do it twice a year now. They do fall pictures and spring pictures. And yeah, it's going to be pretty funny. There was a guy who let his daughter pick anything that she wanted to wear, and she had ended up wearing a superhero outfit, and it's been like viral ever since that picture came home. Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah.
Totally cool. So going back to the CTA, I'm in agreement with Joe, and I think with you, Trisha, as well. Investments, while this is kind of like car dealerships. They want their cars to be called pre-owned and not used. That has caught on. I think many car dealerships with a lot of marketing dollars have programmed or reprogrammed user experience and user expectations. So now people understand what they're saying when they say pre-owned. But on the call to action for pricing or the title of that page, people are still expecting cost, prices, packages maybe. Calling it investments is a little misleading, maybe, if we take an economic approach to the definition. But also, I think people aren't used to seeing that. So I think the story here and the lesson is stick to what the user experience has traditionally been, and don't try to reinvent unless you are a very large enterprise that can afford to put the marketing dollars necessary to respin the expectations of your customers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One interesting wrinkle on that, I was just thinking. So back in the day, you would get hard copy photos from the photographer, and those had a lifetime, right? Eventually, unless it's sealed away in a scrapbook, it's going to age and kind of deteriorate. But now everything's digital, so stuff can pretty much live forever.
True. Yeah.
Good old Olin Mills.
Yep. Put them on some CDs and stash them in the attic. So speaking of attics,
what was that leading on?
That was a terrible transition. But no, what I was going to talk about is IKEA, and I read this weekend that
random.
Some people live in IKEA boxes. I don't know where I was going with that, but
just waking people up out there.
Our single viewer is shocked to their core right now. They're not sure what's going on. This show has taken a weird turn. But no, seriously though, IKEA, really interesting company. My first apartment that I ever had, I furnished with IKEA stuff. I think for like $1,200, you can get like a bedroom, living room, and a dining room set. Awesome. But they debuted a furniture line for cats and dogs. How awesome is that, right? So now you can go to IKEA, take your children. You guys can shop for kids' furniture. You can eat lunch, hopefully with no horse meat meatball. You guys heard about that, right? Where they're putting horse meat in their meatballs at IKEA.
Ugh.
Oh
Yeah, it was pretty
no.
bad. Although
Yeah.
this year IKEA is like the fifth most trusted brand in the United States. So I was like, okay, how do people have such short-term
The
memory?
cognitive dissonance.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that said, so furniture line for not animals, for dogs and cats, and they call it Lurvik or Larvik, and I'm not sure. It's a Swedish word for hairy. So kind of like your furry friend, I think it roughly translates into that. But you still can't take your dogs in, so you can't take Moose Joe.
It's okay. I don't think so. For people out there, Moose is an English Mastiff. He's 165 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't think he would fit on their pet furniture because he's fitting
No.
just fine on our human-sized furniture. I don't know.
Moose needs like horse furniture. He's pretty hot.
I can squeeze Randy Travis in my purse and have him try it out.
Yeah. But it's cool if you think about it. Dog and cat owners make up 50%, I think, roughly, of the population in the United States, and they're typically they skew more affluent. So catering to them, it opens up the door to a lot of possibilities there and added revenue for the company. Not to mention the revenue they'll make from selling the actual furniture itself. So I thought that was a pretty cool move. IKEA is pretty interesting, and what they've done though too is they've taken their successful human furniture, so bookcases and things like that, and they transformed those. And they shrunk their scale, and they're making them into pet furniture. So I think there's a lesson here, taking something that's very successful and creating different permutations of it. And they've been doing that pretty successfully, and that's interesting. Now, it was a twofer for IKEA this past week because they also, at the end of September, I think September 20th, they rolled out their app for iPhone only at this point, which is disappointing. I have an Android device, but now you have an iPhone, right, Trisha?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you should check out this app, IKEA Place, Place, and it's their augmented reality app where you can in the app you can pick a piece of inventory from IKEA, and it fires up your video camera on your phone, and you can literally drag and drop that piece of furniture in the room, and it sticks into that spot, so you can actually pan and tilt and see how it would actually look in your room.
I think my kids would have fun with this as well.
Yeah.
I really do, like decorating their rooms and saying, "Hey, I want this and I want this,"
Yeah.
I think I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang up and go try this. No.
No, it's a pretty cool platform, and I think thinking from a technological perspective, augmented reality is a really good application for a furniture store. If you think about it, I remember the days when I had to get painter's tape, go on the company website, make sure I'm getting the exact measurement, the outside measurement of a piece of furniture, and put painter's tape on the ground and try to walk around it and see how it's fitting into my space. And now you can just do it with augmented reality, which you get the 3D view, because painter's tape is unidimensional.
Yeah, it's a genius idea. I think it addresses one of the main deterrents to getting furniture, which is it going to fit? Excuse me. And so I think they're trying to get past that hurdle, and that's a really smart move.
Yeah.
One of the applications of this that I like is if you use the phone to see if it'll fit through the couch. Because even though sometimes I have a good sense of how a couch or something like that will fit in the room, I don't always know if it's going to fit through the door.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Trisha brought this up earlier, is people's IKEA's audience is typically people with smaller apartments. Think dorm rooms and small studios in Manhattan, for example, where you have staircases, and it's very constrained from that perspective. So being able to see how that's going to fit in your small space is very important.
Yeah, and it's like big Legos, and I love Legos. It's like bringing it home, and it's like putting Legos together. Yeah, it's
putting them together.
Yeah, you feel like you accomplished something. I built this bookshelf, you know. I don't
Until
know.
you like strip it, and like I have a tendency to over tighten things, and you have no idea how many times I would have to drive back to IKEA and be like, I just stripped this screw. Do you guys have spares that I can buy? Because they give you the exact number of screws that you need.
Yeah.
So
I love building stuff like that, but I always say if you don't have to like take it apart once, then you didn't.
It's fine.
Right.
Yeah, you got to get to know it. You know,
Right.
it's part of the process.
Right. Learn every piece of that piece of furniture.
That's a cool app, though. I will
But think about it this way, though. I think the app falls a little short for me because think about it from a conversion perspective, right? We're marketers. We want people to buy immediately. We want to shorten the sales funnel, right? So it's hard to see furniture on the IKEA catalog. You have to go in person. It's an experience being in their stores. You're walking around, you're seeing couches, you're writing the numbers down of what you like. And now with this app, the app is almost pulling you away from the store.
Now
The
you have
app
to
is
go
saying,
home to check it out.
go home. Now imagine if before you went to IKEA, you could measure your room and then take those measurements with you, and you'll be able to do like almost the opposite of what the app does.
Right.
So what I would like it to do is in the app, you put in the dimensions of your room and you scan the couch you're looking at, and it shows you that couch in a virtual room. So your room becomes virtual and the couch is the real object.
Yeah, there you go.
Because this way you can make the buying decision on the spot. You don't have to go home and make that decision.
Yeah. There's obstacles, though, fireplaces and doorways and windows and things like that that you have to put into perspective.
I mean, you can, I mean, roughly that way. So you're
But
welcome, IKEA.
assuming you can do the technology perfectly, like that would be ideal.
Yeah.
You scan the room, go in there. I'm thinking like the Google Cardboard like VR thing, so that way you can, you know, hey, I like this couch, and then you just like check it out.
Yep.
With your room.
That's a good point. I think what you're saying is scan your room, not measure it. What I said is measure it and take the measurements. But maybe the other application is you scan the room and it creates a virtual environment based on what already exists in that room, and then you can go shopping.
That's
at
what
IKEA.
I was thinking.
Yeah, and place. I think that's the money. That's money right there.
There you go, IKEA. You can influence us.
You heard it here first. Free Marketing Labs, episode 4 of Marketing Shtick. Well, you know, just like augmented reality, voice marketing is huge now. And, you know, we've had some experience with an Alexa app for one of our clients. And I think there's a lot going on there with voice marketing, right?
Yeah. Recently got to dabble in that, and it's surprisingly easy to create an Alexa skill, as they call them. Yep. Basically, all the heavy lifting of the voice processing is done by Amazon. You don't have to worry about that whatsoever. It's basically like you just build logic around, you know, if you hear these words, then do this. And you use their AWS, you know, the Amazon Web Services to run the, you know, the server stuff behind the scenes. And it's pretty slick. It's pretty nice.
Was there any cost to that, Joe? Did you have to download any paid platforms or software or anything like that?
Nope. The only expense is the ongoing component from the server, which is AWS Lambda, and that's pretty cheap. And you only pay for like usage time and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So as your skill becomes more popular is when you'll start paying.
Yep.
That's really cool. It's pretty simple too, right? I think when we were reading the documentation, it said you can write your first functionality like the hello world in like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
So that was pretty cool. But you know, the flip side of that coin is its simplicity kind of implies a little bit of restrictions as far as what you can do with it. Like when you go on the Alexa skill app marketplace or whatever it's called, you see that they're very basic. Quote of the day, or tell me a joke, or do this or do that. So it's not like, as far as processing
it's not conversational yet. It's not like I often, like, if you have a question, I'll try and ask Alexa, and Alexa usually won't get random questions. It's not exactly there yet. It's at the like command stage where you can dictate certain phrases that will trigger a pathway to execute. But I think like freehand, it's kind of not. It's still, they're probably, what they're doing is using all of this data from everyone's devices to keep training and retraining their voice processing. So they're probably working on it.
Yeah.
I was sitting there the other day and my Alexa said, "Hey, you have a message." I'm like, well, this is weird. I've never had a message. And I turn it on. It's Bashara left me a message on my Alexa app.
When did I do that?
I don't know. You're like, hey, this is Bashara. Something I don't know. I'm
That's
like, I
awesome.
didn't even know you could do that. That was crazy. Yeah. So
I love it. So when you don't answer my Slack messages, I'm just going to hack into your Alexa and leave your messages on there.
Kind of creepy, but kind of
Every time
cool
I
that
say
you could
Alexa,
do.
she lights up next to me.
Alexa, Simon says, Trisha, get on the computer.
So from a design perspective, Joe, and since you're the one on here that has most experience with this, what constitutes design in your building
Voice,
process?
you're saying?
I'm sorry?
You're saying with the voice marketing?
Yeah, with the voice marketing.
I guess you got to think of the interface as the dialogue. So what type of words you're using, the brand. So that brand is a big part of it. So when you're like opening a skill, you use like the brand name and that kind of thing. You'll say open X, or ask, Alexa, ask X for Y, that kind of stuff. So branding, I think, is pretty important. It's definitely very different from website design, because where are all our visual elements?
There's nothing graphics or audio and verbal. So from that perspective, then, is part of intelligent design there and good user experience is accounting for natural human communications and all the permutations for what someone could ask it.
Yeah, and also accounting for accents, things like that. So I come from the SEO background where we used to optimize for not just the main phrase that you wanted, but also the common misspellings, the poor grammar wordings. Even those sometimes would have enough volume that you wanted to make sure you got those people too. Well, Alexa's like that too. So for example, we were working on a lice app for Alexa, and I was testing it, me and my wife, and we have slightly different accents, from Philly and that kind of thing. And Alexa could not understand when my wife was saying lice. Alexa would get it when I said it, but not when she said it. So I went into the back end to the logs for Alexa to see what was going wrong with my skill, and it was like reading her what she said as lace. For some reason, it was getting the word lace instead of lice. So for like all of my commands where I had the word lice, I just did, word replacement, added the version with lace, and now it works for that too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, so you have to almost take dialect and accents into account.
Yeah,
so,
and this is only in the US. I can't imagine having like a global app.
Imagine. So that's definitely one of the obstacles to globalizing this technology. So Trisha is from Ohio, for those of you who don't know. So she's in big trouble. She says roof, bagel, and crick. So, sorry, Alexa.
Saul.
I saw it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I saw it, not solid.
He is totally like stretching the truth by all means.
Accent. But yeah, that is super cool. Can you talk a little bit about the application we built for Nick Slice?
Yeah, so I mean, we already had this the Nick Slice tracker, which is where we have a couple of data sets that allow us to build basically a heat map of the U.S. of head lice, what we deem to be kind of the outbreak level, the incidence level.
Sure.
And so we have this whole API set up for that. And so I wanted to tinker with Alexa, and so this was kind of a natural fit to extend Lice Tracker onto the Alexa platform. And so Alexa basically just takes the commands, parses it out into a couple of things it has to do, and then hits our API and gets the head lice data. So basically, you would ask Alexa to open the lice tracker and give you the lice incidence level for 19006 or whatever zip code you're in, and it reads from our API and pulls it right in, and Alexa will tell you.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, and the client really likes it. And it's honestly, if you look at the skill set that's in the Alexa skill engine, there's not that many that actually do something besides tell you something random. It's
Mm-hmm.
we're this is the infancy of that ecosystem. It feels like we're still all trying to code different ways to say hello world. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just discovered programming for the first time, and it's very basic. So we can only go up from here. And the natural question is, how do brands take advantage of this? How can a given brand leverage voice marketing and get in on the ground floor? And the other question, the flip side of that question, which will further empower that ecosystem, is how can marketers monetize it? How can we make money off of it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very early on, and we're excited to have dabbled in it this early on and being able to build onto it.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
there's a ton
Yeah,
of potential there. I think you're right. Most of the Alexa skills right now would just kind of regurgitate data that's in a
yeah,
database. Um, I didn't find that many that actually had like a networked piece, like what we're doing.
right.
Probably like 10% or less had that kind of thing. But that's a whole avenue of functionality that's going to continue to evolve there, and it
Yeah,
was really easy to do.
yeah. No, that's awesome, Joe. Yeah, we're very excited by this prospect. The other thing is just how present those devices are going to become. Um, Amazon obviously dominates the e-commerce ecosystem. They dominate a lot of what people don't see on the front lines: the server infrastructure, the artificial intelligence, data warehousing, data processing, all that stuff. And now being able to put these, almost like, I think of every Alexa device as an access point
Yeah.
to Amazon,
Yep.
and the way they're making them, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Did you see that they added Alexa to the Amazon Music app?
Yeah, yeah.
Because all of a sudden my wife was like, "Dude, Alexa's on my music app."
And the shopping app and the
Yeah,
Amazon
I was
shopping app.
totally
Fire
shocked.
Fire Stick.
Yeah, because
Fire Stick has
we have
it.
two Echoes in the house. So we have two Echoes, and now it's on our phones. It's like literally everywhere now. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, I mean, next thing is going to be native on some devices. The only barrier there is that they don't own the market is cornered by Apple and Google. So I think Google has an edge there. But Alexa is like 60% last time I checked of that voice market. But it's going to be in car stereos. It's going to be in cars. I have a friend that took the Echo Dot, and he has a Wi-Fi hotspot in his car, and he has Alexa like fully functional in his car.
Wow.
I mean, imagine being able to tell it what to play on the radio, and have it be connected to your Spotify and your Amazon and everything. So I think the car companies have a choice to make here. They can continue to develop their own infotainment infrastructures, or they can just jump on the bandwagon with Amazon.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a pretty active space, and we're just starting out. So
Yeah.
it's
You know what? That reminds me, like one debate that I'm wrestling with here is, so what do brands do when they're not content creators? I feel like this space really makes it easy for content creators. So,
yeah.
like NPR, right? They've had tremendous success with their NPR One Alexa skill,
Yep.
and basically what they're doing is retooling their content channel, right?
They're
They're sending,
reformatting their
yeah,
content to be compliant with this medium. Yeah.
right, right. But what about, it's not as clear how other brands can take advantage for it if they're, you know, not content creators naturally.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
think I think this is a big question. I think a lot of CMOs and VPs of marketing and marketing directors are asking themselves, this is cool and all. How do I justify it? How do I
Right.
justify investments in it? How do I justify getting or not getting in on it? And would I be blamed down the road for not jumping on board? Kind of like
Yep.
social media. It reminds me of social media. When PML first started in 2009, we used to do a lot of social media, and I remember making a case for social media for some of the companies we were speaking with at the time, trying to explain to them that this is the future. You need to build a community. You need to engage with your community on social media. We would do blogger outreach, which is more like influencer marketing and things like that. which, you know, companies, it's a huge percentage of people of B2C, at least, marketing budgets.
Yeah.
And
That's what I was just
now
gonna
it's a
ask.
no-brainer. Now it's a complete no-brainer. Is voice marketing going to be the same? That's the big question.
Yeah, in that Adweek article that was just written about this stuff, they one guy was saying that he was thinking most of like ad money is going to move to voice in the years ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Because what do you do? You know, there's no real ads anymore. Now it's like radio spots kind of
Right.
thing, and you know, what's that going to look like? What influences what Google Assistant ends up giving you when you're looking for a pizza shop? You know, stuff like
Right.
that.
Right. And then credibility comes into play, is because if they start putting too many ads and allowing advertisers to manipulate the answers that Alexa
Yeah.
or Google Home is giving you, then they lose their credibility in the eyes of their users.
Yep.
So they have to hit a balance, and and maybe it is giving you the answer, the most relevant organic answer, and then following up
Yeah,
with
with the sponsored.
ad. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, you can go to Spatola's and order or get your pizza there. This is your closest pizza shop to you, but also Pizza Hut, 0.2 miles away, is running buy one get one. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
can
Maybe
do
that's just
the compliment sandwich style where they give you
right.
the good result, bad result, good result.
Right. Did that answer your question, or should I continue searching?
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really interesting. So, but yeah, no, good debate, good conversations, guys. We're coming up on our time here. We will see you again for episode 5. It's going to be flannel, right? Flannel theme.
I
That's
hope
what we agreed
so.
to. All right. I'm gonna go out and buy me a flannel shirt then. All right, guys. Any comments, requests for the next show? Please write them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for future episodes. Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.